Hey guys, what's going on? This is Dr. Matt Wenning at winningstrength.com. And I'm freshly back to Ohio from Toronto, Canada, where the biggest and best strength conditioning summit is held. Now, the last few years it was in Columbus, Ohio, in my hometown. And then it moved back up to Toronto, where I initially spoke in 2016 and 18. Personally, I like going up to Toronto better, and I can tell you why. The Canadians tend to have a little bit more of an investment in their education. What I find is that people in the Canadian area, especially in Toronto, are very interested in being more educated and taking stuff back to their clients, patients, and things of that nature to make their experience and their outcomes much better in the strength conditioning or rehabilitation process. Dr. Ken Kanakin has been ahead of the Swiss since roughly 2000, the year 2000. So now nearly only 25 years. And to be even asked to speak at the Swiss conference means that you're already making trends in the field. So at 2016, it was one of the most nerve-wracking additions to my speaking engagements, because I knew that everybody that was on that stage was going to have an education level far beyond what I was used to in even the NSCA, which is the National Strength Conditioning Association, which is our governing body for strength training in both high school, college, and pros. And so as I saw guys like Charles Poliquin had spoke at Swiss, guys like Bill Kazmaier had spoke at Swiss, guys like Dave Tate had spoke at Swiss, I knew that when I asked to be a part of that in 2016, it was going to be a big deal, and I had better eat my Wheaties with my presentations and at least bring something else to the table. Now, after that, 2016 and 18, and all the people at Swiss, we became very good friends. We share a lot of information. We don't have egos to each other. We share what we know. We correct what we think we know. A girl named Victoria Faulkner actually corrected some things that I had in the first chapter of my book, not realizing that the Japanese might have been the first athletes to utilize anabolic steroids, not the Germans. And I find it interesting that, when you go there, it's just such a huge presence of humbleness, and not only the presenters, but the people attending. There were only a few people that seemed, combative with the information, maybe one or two out of 500. So there were 500 participants at this. Ken started to realize that hands-on activity was going to be the next thing happening at these presentations, because YouTube has pretty much destroyed regular talks and PowerPoints as it pertains to strength conditioning. So this year, everything was mostly hands-on, other than a few things that are just can't be hands-on. And it was very fun to talk to people in the hallway, present my information, and then try to be as much of an assistance as I can to anyone that's willing to participate at the Swiss. My topics were on the bench press in the morning, and then my winning warm-ups in the afternoon. And what I found is that it's such an overwhelming experience, because you're coming with what you feel is your part of the play in the strength conditioning or rehabilitation side of things, and you're tagging into all these other people. And so by the time I went to close at night at 5 o'clock, you're almost second guessing. Am I telling these guys the right things? If I really studied as much as I thought I should have, is this information really relevant? Come to find out, again, there was no standing room in my presentation. Everybody was very thankful for the stuff that I taught them and showed them. And again, Canada is very different than the United States. And maybe it's just my own thought process or what I see when I'm up there. But it's disheartening to come back to the United States and see the lack of just fortitude of people, coaches, doctors, and practitioners not willing to participate in anything personal anymore. And a lot of that, I think, has to do with COVID. I think COVID caused a big issue with people not doing things in person. And I will give you guys a case in point. This is very interesting, and maybe just maybe some of the people that were in the seminar that I did during the Arnold hands-on seminar can give you a background on this and tell you he's absolutely right. I'm holding a bench press seminar during the Arnold Classic. And don't get me wrong, the Arnold Classic is a couple blocks away from my facility. So if you're ever in town for the Arnold and you want a place to come and train, hit me up and we'll try to work that out. But the point being is I'm running this seminar during the Arnold Classic. And most of the people that signed up for the seminar were also people that have been watching my videos and trying to practice a lot of the things that I have been teaching for quite a few years now. And we put them in the warm-up for the bench press to show them the small little consistencies needed for the warm-up to be proper. But the first thing I do is I let them go through the first round of warm-ups to see what their technique looks like. And almost everyone in the class that had supposedly been watching my videos for years when they were doing pushdowns, they were rolling their shoulders forward at the bottom, causing the anterior delt to try to assist the triceps when what we're looking for is an isolation of tricep exercises or in the exercise itself. We stop the group, we talk through it, and then we manually put everybody in a perfect position to do it. And they're like, whoa, my triceps are on fire with like 20% less weight. And so what you start to find is sometimes what you visually see on a computer screen or your phone, and then you go and you try to replicate it at the gym without the hand-to-hand contact and the in-person teaching and coaching. Sometimes what you feel is not exactly what it should be feeling or be done. And we corrected, out of the 15 people that were at the bench seminar, we corrected 14 people in just tricep extensions alone. My point being is that although it may be free to watch a YouTube video, it is nothing like being in person and doing something with a professional standing there cueing you on how to do it properly. And that's where I think Swiss really hit the nail on the head this year. They made everything in person. They made everything more of a coaching style presentation with hands-on work. And I think Ken found it. You know, he was almost ready to quit the Swiss last year due to low attendance, which I am ashamed as an American strength coach in my hometown. We only had like 230 people sign up in person. We move it to Toronto, which is like a 50-minute flight from Columbus, Ohio, and he has 520 people registered. It's embarrassing, to be honest with you. And I think it's something that we need to correct, because although I think social media and I think that the internet platforms have done a lot of good for people, I think they've also equally done just about as much bad. I find that people that speak at Swiss have to be proved in their field before they're allowed to talk. And what you find on social media with things like, and I'm just making assumptions, trend twins, people that have these massive followings on YouTube and really down to the core don't know anything. Ken has been very good at making sure to step back and see who's coming into this seminar, what their accolades are, and what their education level is. And I find that, you know, the general population tends to not be quite smart enough to understand that just because somebody's popular doesn't mean that what they're doing is right. You know, we look at, hey, this guy's got 2 million followers on Instagram, or this guy's got, 700,000 subscribers on YouTube. A lot of times what you find is the bigger channels tend to have bigger amounts of bullshit. And it's not always the case. There are a lot of people that know a lot of things, that teach a lot of good things, like Jeff Cavalier with Athean X, right? You got guys like that are physical therapists and worked for pro teams and then decided to teach this stuff to the general public. Now, I'm not saying that Jeff Cavalier and I agree on a lot of things. There's probably a few things that we massively disagree on. But I think overall he is trying to put out the right information. So without going on a tangent about what's wrong with the internet, the point is that you have to do hands-on seminars to get better. And for those of you that were at the Swiss, I'm highly grateful that you guys showed up and wanted to listen to me and others talk. And I'm also humbled at the fact that you'll be willing to take a weekend to travel and come and hear some of the best in the business. I feel that this has reignited Ken's passion for Swiss, realized that he's not going to lose his ass when he, probably has to rent a hotel for $15,000 or $20,000 for a day to make sure that people sign up. And I think that it's keeping the tradition going. Now, what we have to do in my generation is have the same kind of passion that Dr. Ken and these guys that are getting older, and we need to be able to maintain that, because what you're starting to find is that a lot of the guys that have amazing information are starting to get very old. And it's not a crack. It's just the truth. And, by the time you get in your 60s and your 70s and maybe your 80s, your ability to coach as much as you think may not be hindered. It starts to become a problem. And I think that we're seeing now that my generation is not stepping up and filling in those shoes. So my point to this is that if you want to learn something new and exciting and something that'll work and make you better, you might want to look at the generation or two before you, because they probably already found the answer to your question. You're looking to the people in your generation to find it. And a lot of times it's already been done 20, 30, maybe 50 years ago. So this is Matt Wenning at winningstrength.com. Please go visit the website. If you guys enjoyed the video, please click down on the link and subscribe. And I appreciate you guys following, and talk to you guys soon.